drained. Doesn't have to be high in nutrient, but because you can pick up with an Osmocote type fertilizer or slow release of another kind to keep the plant in good shape in that regard. Now, as to when, my experience would tell me it doesn't matter much when, especially if you're buying containerized plants from a nursery. They will move out of the can into the ground in good shape spring or fall. I know of a couple of instances in commercial work where we were planting lilacs way into snowfly along toward Christmas time, and they got along just fine. Spring, I can say, is perhaps favored if you get right down to the flip of a coin, but I think either is great on a lilac. I think it's more a matter of digging the broad hole, preparing the soil, having it good drainage and good sun is more important than most any other factor on them. Now, if you're going to dig and divide, well, yeah, you can, but you don't normally divide a lilac. But if you're going to dig it, I would either get it done fairly soon, which is preferable, or then sometime mid-March or shortly thereafter next spring. Either one, Tim, whenever you want to exercise those biceps.
Is there a particular type of lilac I should be looking at?
No, and I say that openly because there are at least 6 kinds that jump in my mind, all the way from the little Meyer eye, only 6 foot tall, clear on up to the Japanese tree lilacs at 25 feet. It's more a matter of size of bloom. If you're after fragrance, then you go hunting for fragrance. The old-fashioned lilac, the true lilac-colored lilac, is the one most apt to be fragrant, at least for my sniffer. There are others that are fragrant, but less so. So it's color, it's size, ultimate size that you want to work with, because lilacs are best if you don't have to whack at them too much with a pruner, but at the same time that you can do. So I think it's just open hunting for whatever you'd like to fill.
And Tim, thanks for the question. And just to expand on that for just a second, when you do prune a lilac, when's the best time?
Well, Mark, back to the old rule, following the bloom.
Yeah.
I would say that you can prune the plant and not hurt it at any time of the year. However, the flower buds on lilac form clear back in June this year. So any pruning you do after that is going to cut off some potential flowering for next spring. Doesn't harm the plant. It just cheats you of one of the reasons for having it.
Oh, yeah, that smell.
That's right.
That's why you have it, for the smell. We had some email questions this week. Let's blow through a couple of those here. I'm trying to plant some small maple trees. Will the deer bother maple? If so, any way to protect those?
Well, yeah, deer will bother any tree, and it's not because they eat them, although they will eat young trees. That's what they survive on in the woods and so on, most especially things in the apple family. However, young trees, and it depends on how young, et cetera, but I would say that a deer, a male, who is trying to find out where those tines are on their antlers for battle purposes, they're going to scrape the hide off of, or bark off of any tree. Young maples make no difference. They'll just simply go based on size. Any tree they can get between those 2 big front tines and wiggle their head around to find out where the rest of them are is going to take the bark right off of a tree. It matters not what kind. So, any of several ways. I think the best bet is 3 to 5 stakes in the ground out at least 10 inches from the trunk of the tree all the way around. More's better. And then use any of that highway netting for snow or whatever, chicken wire, anything that will keep them from getting their antlers in, on, and around that trunk. Now, if they reach over and bite a few things, yeah, it's damaging, but it's not a killer. To rip the bark off is.
Hey, if you get a minute this week, check out our Facebook page. We always try to put some fun stuff on there. And again, check out our website as well, which is planttalkradio.com. Fred's to-do list, that's up next on Plant Talk. Stick around.
This summer at Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens, the gardens are in full color. Walk amidst tropical and native butterflies in flight in the indoor Pacific Island Water Garden. View the conservatory's bonsai collection and experience the exhibition Origami in the Garden. Find details at fpconservatory.org.
Lots of things to do. One is to put on your scarlet and gray if that's your choice, because there's a college in Ohio And there's a college in Oklahoma, that are going to clash tonight. I don't know who's betting on what, but I'm going to be ready, have a few tacos first, and watch the game. Then I'm going to work with lawn rehab tomorrow if the weather's right, a little bit of moisture and so on. I'm going to, well, in my case, I won't slice seed this year, but I'm going to put a little seed down in a couple of bare spots. I have some... I have several bare spots. But anyhow, then a weed killer. I have violets where violets shouldn't even grow. I'm going to put a weed killer on them now, perhaps tomorrow, if it isn't going to rain right away, and or in another 10 days, and maybe even another 10 days. I've got to get rid of those rascals. The grasses that are there and healthy are growing. They are growing just as nicely, if not better, into your flower beds where you have the better prepared soil. So consider getting those beds edged now and again in later fall. And then, please, if you have the problem I do with crabgrass, where the crabgrass preventive went down, there is very, very little trouble. But it didn't do a thing for those that are growing in the flower beds under and around and so on. So at least grab them by the hair of the head and pull the seeds off. And in the meantime, just enjoy and hope we win tonight.
And thanks so much for joining us. For Fred Howard, the Ohio Nurseryman, I'm Mark Noose. We'll see you again next week for another edition of Plant Talk Radio.
Plant Talk is sponsored by Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens, fpconservatory.org. If you have a question for Fred for a future show, go to our Facebook page and ask away. We value your comments about the show, so please tell us what you think by writing a review on iTunes. This helps others find out about Plant Talk. You can find out more about Plant Talk on our website at planttalkradio.com.